This is WPSU TV Clearfield, an outreach service of Penn State.
Support for Weather World comes from the members of WPSU and from
Everett Cash Mutual, providing commercial insurance coverage for wineries and other businesses, including workers' comp. Information at everettcash.com.
From the Band Family Studios in the Department of Meteorology and Atmospheric Science at Penn State, this is Weather World.
Good evening, Pennsylvania, and welcome to Weather World. I'm Rob Leidick. Today is Wednesday, November 26, 2025. We've got a great show for you tonight. We've got a new edition of Weatherwise where John Neese will be talking about the Pilgrim's Voyage and how that was impacted by weather. But of course, the focus on tonight's show is really all about the forecast, both for this Thanksgiving holiday and then for the extended period. Marissa will have those details coming up in just a bit. We'll start with the short term, though, and look at what we had across the Commonwealth today. A very active weather day as a cold front marches through. And this time lapse over the Penn State Altoona campus shows just that. Clouds and some wind blowing out there as the cold front began to cross and eventually brought some rain showers overhead as well. I also noticed on this time lapse, this tree in particular de-leafed by the end of the day as the winds really did pick up, and the winds will be the top story in many locations besides the snow as we go through Thanksgiving and the day after. Here's a look at the satellite and radar pictures. Some scattered showers as we began the day today, even some fog in some places like Chambersburg this morning. Then you see this band of some showers. That's affiliated with the cold front itself, marching its way through western and central Pennsylvania. And we'll see some of those showers continue in the east as we go through this evening. Most of the rain activity tapers down there, but then we'll see some snow showers kick in as our winds come in from the west, northwest, and we'll see the lake effect snow machine really produce some accumulations of snow that will impact travel closer to the Lake Erie shoreline as we go through the Thanksgiving holiday. Here's where we began temperature-wise today. A very mild start, especially for this time of November. 40s and 50s. As we put this into motion, though, you can see kind of the infiltration of the Arctic air off to the west. So by noontime today, temperatures already falling in Erie. We actually saw some places in southeast PA make it into the low to mid 60s today. And then as we went into the afternoon, the cold front has now been making its way through western and central Pennsylvania. Those temperatures really beginning to take a tumble. We'll see those temperatures continue to crash as we go through tonight. That Arctic air really moving in, and the winds on the increase, gusts already to 35 miles per hour in Pittsburgh this afternoon, and some places in the Laurel Highlands could see some gusts to around 50 by the time we get to tomorrow. That's why a wind advisory is in effect for all the counties right along the I-99 corridor going into the start of our Thanksgiving holiday. Another thing that the National Weather Service is concerned about, snowfall accumulations. We've got a winter storm watch for the counties shaded here in purple. Lake effect snow warning for the counties in teal as we expect some double-digit snowfall accumulations Thursday all the way through Saturday morning. Some places could see over a foot when all is said and done. So certainly something to keep in mind if you're traveling in that part of the Keystone State. Here's a look at our satellite radar picture. We see this beautiful counterclockwise rotation with this area of low pressure that's continuing to strengthen, producing some snow on the backside all across portions of lower Michigan. And as I mentioned, that snow will eventually kick in Pennsylvania and produce some impacts with some squalls even possible in the central mountains as we go through Thursday and Friday. That cold air continuing to make its way in. Many locations already anywhere from 10 to 20 degrees lower compared to this time yesterday. So here's our storm system. Cold front will cross eastern Pennsylvania as we go through this evening, but it doesn't really, this low pressure system doesn't make a lot of progress. It slowly makes its way northward, and we're on the backside of that. Winds will be gusty as we go through Thursday and Friday, so the lake effect snow machine firmly in play and producing some good accumulations of snow in some areas or some squalls in others, so impactful for some doing some Thanksgiving travel for both of the next couple of days. So for tonight, we're back in the fridge or freezer, depending on where you are. Temperatures in the 20s or 30s. Evening raindrops in the east, then some clearing. Otherwise, look for clouds to thicken in the west with some scattered snow showers developing overnight, becoming steadier overnight northwest, and those winds gusty for all. As we go into Thursday, the gusty winds continue. It'll feel like it's in the teens and 20s with temperatures mainly only in the 30s for daytime highs. Snow showers and squalls in the west, The gustiest in the Laurel Highlands, heaviest snow really anywhere north of this white line, where we'll see accumulations of snow and some blowing snow possible through the day on Thursday. And the snow continues north and west as we go through Thursday night. On Friday, temperatures once again in the 30s for most of us. Scattered snow showers and snow squalls in the central mountains and across the Laurels. Locally over a foot through Saturday morning northwest. Drier and brighter farther south and east. Extended next.
As we go ahead into this upcoming weekend, a busy travel time for many, it does look like Mother Nature may provide some issues, especially into the second half of the weekend. Before we get to that, some meteorological eye candy with today's water vapor satellite imagery. You can see the upper level system here that's pushing into the Great Lakes, the drier air rushing in behind it. It's also another system pushing ashore here in the Pacific Northwest. By the time we get to Saturday, which is when our extended forecast period begins, today's system is a distant memory pushing off into the Canadian Maritimes, and we actually get a bit of a reprieve in the action. So for the first day of regular deer season, it looks like a quiet one. But there is something knocking on our doorstep. This next trough has entered the picture here in the Central Plains. That's going to usher a system into the western Great Lakes on Saturday. So if you're flying through O'Hare, there may be some travel problems that day. And they move into Pennsylvania on Sunday. We may see some mix and some snow to start across the north and then some rain to the south. But this is a very fast-moving flow, so that's out by Monday. And then by the time we get to Tuesday, another system will be moving in, this time from the south. It's going to tap into some moisture from the Gulf, and that could bring us another chance of some wintry weather as we go into Tuesday, but then moves out by the time Wednesday arrives. So now we're going to look at the isobars, so surface pressure. Here's an area of high pressure for Saturday, so a quiet day in store. We can also see how much moisture is available from the surface up to cloud level, and not as great as what we see in the summertime, but still gives us a good indication of when we may see some precipitation here. So Saturday, a quiet day across the region. And then here's this area of low pressure as it strengthens, moving to our northwest, ushering in some moisture on Sunday. Could be cold enough at the surface that northern Pennsylvania has some mix or some snow. Rain to the south. That moves out. High pressure in for Monday, so a quiet day. And then you can see this next area of low pressure on Tuesday, bringing in moisture ahead of it. Strong area of high pressure to our northeast, allowing that cold air to be trapped at the surface. Tuesday has the potential to be a bit of a wintry mess here in Pennsylvania, but then Wednesday that moves out and high pressure moves in once again. Now we're going to look at the precipitation tracker along with the freezing line. A cold day to start across the eastern seaboard on Saturday, but again, a dry day. That system moves in on Sunday, bringing the potential for some mix late, starting off and then changing over to rain. Quiet day on Monday. Tuesday is when we could see that winter storm move into the region, and then it's out by Wednesday. This is the European model. I also want to show you the American model showing something very similar. Here's Sunday afternoon with that messy mix for the big busy travel day. Again, we start December on Monday. Things quiet down, but then here comes that next area of low pressure tracking across the southeast and the chance to bring in some wintry precipitation. So it's a busy time here, not only with travel, but also in the weather department. Saturday again looks like the quiet day, first day of deer season. Could see some sunshine in southeastern Pennsylvania. Warming up on Sunday ahead of that next system, but still could be cold enough across northern and central Pennsylvania for some mix and for some snow, and then rain to the south. It's going to be breezy as well. Cooling off behind that on Monday, but a relatively quiet day as we start the new month. And then the chance for a winter storm on Tuesday. We'll keep an eye on that for you, but that'll move out by Wednesday when we have a little bit of clearing. John Neese has Weatherwise coming up next.
Accurate weather forecasts and sturdy shelters with dependable heating. Just two modern defenses against harsh weather that early settlers of this land lacked. Their very lives hinged on the whims of Mother Nature. A timely example this week is the Pilgrims, whose decision to settle in Massachusetts more than 400 years ago was largely dictated by the weather. Now, the Mayflower had been at sea for 2 months when the central headlands of Cape Cod came into view early on November 19th, 1620. The original destination was New York, so they headed south. With wind and weather fair, wrote William Bradford, later governor of Plymouth Colony. After sailing half a day, the Mayflower entered an area off the southern tip of Cape Cod with dangerous shoals and roaring breakers, and they conceived themselves in great danger. In addition, winds had turned southerly, further slowing their progress. So with unfavorable waters and breezes, the 180-ton ship turned around and headed back north. Bradford wrote, they thought themselves happy to get out of those dangers before night overtook them. With a tailwind continuing the next day, the ship sped north and rounded the top of the Cape, dropping anchor in what is now Provincetown Harbor. Small groups spent the next month scouting for a suitable place for a permanent settlement, eventually deciding on the western shore of the bay, an area mapped 15 years earlier by the French explorer Champlain. A storm forced them to hunker down on a small island in the harbor, so the infamous landing at Plymouth Rock didn't take place until December 21st, with just 10 men, no ceremony, and probably no rock, just a beach. The rest of the Mayflower passengers joined them 5 days later. Bradford made it clear that the decision to settle at Plymouth was largely based on the weather. Now that the heart of winter was upon us, so that we could not go about coasting without danger of losing men and boat, especially considering what variable winds and sudden storms do there arise. The first winter at Plymouth wasn't that harsh compared to many that followed, but the weather was still more foe than friend. Only about half the group survived till spring. In that first winter, most lived aboard the Mayflower. The healthy went ashore to work on the settlement when weather permitted. Excerpts from Bradford's writings reveal the typical challenges of a New England winter. January 5th, 1621, it was foul weather that we could not go ashore. February 14th was very wet and rainy, with the greatest gust of wind that ever we had since we came forth. March 13th, at 1 o'clock, it thundered, which was the first we heard in that country. The much celebrated first Thanksgiving didn't take place until the following autumn of 1621, after the first harvest in the new land. More than 50 pilgrims and 90 Native Americans took part in that 3-day celebration. I wish you and yours a safe and happy Thanksgiving. Stay tuned. We'll have more in a moment.
And that was a sight from earlier today before the cold front came through in State College, and that cold front continues its march eastward this evening. Rain showers will come to an end before midnight, I think, in eastern Pennsylvania. Some gradual clearing there, but breezy for everyone. On the western part of the state, we'll see some scattered snow showers, and that snow becomes steady overnight off towards the north and west. Much colder for all, and the cold conditions persist on Thursday. Thankful to be inside, as temperatures will feel like it's only in the teens and 20s outside, with the winds gusting up to around 50 miles an hour at times. Drier off to the south and east. Snow showers and squalls may impact your travel on the Laurel Highlands, across the Central Mountains, the Alleghenies, and heavy snow and blowing snow northwest, where totals could be up to a foot or more in some locations by Saturday morning. Snow squalls and snow showers continue to be possible along the mountains and in parts of central Pennsylvania on Friday. Temperatures only top off in the 30s, lower 40s south and east. And a quick word, we will not have a show on Thanksgiving or Friday, as we're off spending time with our families. We will be back for meteorological winter on Monday. On behalf of all of us here at Weather World, have a great Thanksgiving.
Here's what's coming up tonight on WPSU, an outreach service of Penn State. For a complete schedule, visit WPSU.org.
Water, as we know, is essential. We need water to survive. Keystone Stories, streaming now.
This is WPSU TV Clearfield, an outreach service of Penn State.